Hello, Table Talk community. Happy Friday. I hope everyone is well and healthy and staying inside and staying safe and doing safe distancing and just being very, very safe. And still, you can love each other and stay connected verbally. You can have good conversations and tell one another that you care about them and you want them to be well. You can still stay connected that way and still stay safe. So today's session for Table Talk, I had for this week, let me say this to you guys. This week I was answering questions, and the feedback is to answer more questions because I have so many to answer, and I go through them and I want to get the most important questions out there and answer them as deeply as I can, coming from a patient's point of view. And I try to sift through them and get the good ones out and start to answer them. But there's so many good ones. You guys, you give me homework, and I love it so much. You give me homework, you make me do my research, you make me do my self-assessments to tap inside my experiences and to share with you so you can probably grab hold to some of that good information and use it. And then after you use it, then you can pass it on to someone else and just infect the world with good information. I love it. Keep the questions coming. Go ahead and subscribe so we can have this Table Talk community growing, and so we can help one another. Our ultimate goal is we want to bring our mind to a balance. We want to thrive with mental illness. And in order to do that, we have to bring our mind to a balance by getting those symptoms that we fight every day, getting them under control by putting our components together. What our components look like? Those components that you have self-assessed and you have decided that those components are good for you to use in order for you to bring your mind to a balance where you can have clear concentration, you can have balance, you can have clear thought, you're able to respond responsibly. Those are the things that you will have evidence of when you have your mind at a balance. So that's what our end game is. We're going to fight until we can't fight any longer. That's our goal. And I want to answer all these questions. When you give me these questions, I want to make sure I give you some good information so you can use it and let that information be mental muscle for you. So today's question is, help me understand cluster B personality disorder, which is such a good question. You guys, thank you for this question. I was diagnosed with cluster B personality disorder 3.5 years ago. And if you want to understand cluster B personality disorder, you have to understand that the disorder has clusters of personality symptoms such as borderline personality disorder, histrionic personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder. All of that is inside this disease. So you're not just dealing with one disease, and you're not just dealing with one thing to identify. You have 4 things, and those things are dealing with a lot of irresponsible responses that go along with it. And let me say this to you from a patient's point of view. When you are being diagnosed, You do not get everything all in one sitting. Sometimes once you start doing your self-assessments and you start sharing your symptoms with your clinician is listening to you, and she's partnering with you, and she's kind of letting you know, based on your self-assessment and your information that you're sharing with her, she's identifying some of those textbook symptoms that you're sharing with her. So it started off for me as a personal life story. It started off with bipolar 1 for me, but then it morphed into the personality disorder. Then it morphed into the PTSD disorder. And I tell my story, but I love to tell my story because it's healing for me. And I hope it's also healing for you. You know, I had a tragic beginning in my life. And as I went through my life, I lived my life very irresponsibly because of my mental disorder. So now that I'm older, I'm able to self-assess myself and identify those symptoms. And once I start identifying those symptoms, I'm able to apply positive antidotes to those symptoms that will bring my mind to a balance, because that's what I want. I want a balanced mind. I want to be able to work a job. I want to be able to hold a conversation. I want to be able to not have delusions and hallucinations. I want to be able to not be antisocial and hide myself in my house all day. And having a self-assessment and putting those components together, and execution. Yeah, I won't speak to execution today because I'm going to answer this question, but I'll speak to execution going forward. So important to be committed to yourself, to answer that question and execute it. I am determined. If you, as an example, I'm determined to lose this weight. I'm determined. I want to lose this weight. I'm determined to lose this weight. I put together a plan to lose this weight. Now all I have to do is execute the plan. And that's what is so hard. It's easier said than done. And we all know that's the truth, Table Talk. We all know that's the truth. It's we can talk it real good, but it's kind of challenging to execute it. But we'll talk about that more going forward. I want to address the issue of the cluster B personality disorder. And I want to talk about it. Oh, excuse me. What I'll do is I'll do this. I'll break it up. Let's talk about it in pieces. For me, borderline disorder is me having a challenge of saying what's real and what's not real. And when I have that scary thought of, am I in reality? Am I in fictitious images and thoughts in my mind? I don't know if I'm in reality or in non-reality. You have certain things of hallucinations and delusions. For me, I have hallucinations and hallucinatory thoughts of people being in my home, people being in my vents, people being in the mirror behind my bathroom, or in my shower, or in my camera. You know, those right there, those are hallucination. Those are hallucinatory thoughts. And you have to bring yourself to a self-assessment where you can identify that is a fictitious thought, and those fictitious thoughts are false thinking. That is not reality. It takes a long time to get that and get strong enough to say, I don't believe what my mind is showing me. If there's a person behind my mirror in my bathroom, number one, that person is awfully magical, because You can get in my mirror. That's amazing. But you look for tangible reality. Tangible reality is I open my mirror. I touch my mirror. I look for those things that are tangible that brings me into reality thinking. If you're behind my mirror, then you have some sense of the evidence that proves to me that that is a person behind my mirror. And it's called challenge thinking. You challenge the thought. And these things that you do, I'm going to take my time with this because it is so sensitive. And it's so to the point where you want to, when you do a self-assessment, you want to pay attention to it so you can identify it correctly. Now, if this person is standing in front of your refrigerator, then this person should be touchable. This person should be able to, if you can move that person, if that person is real, you should be able to move that person out of front of the refrigerator. If you can't come up with tangible, touchable, real evidence, because that's what makes you prove that that's a person in reality or that's a person in fictitious thinking. Once you start challenging your thinking, you start strengthening your thoughts, saying, okay, you're not reality. Because if you were reality, you'll be able to be touched, or you'll be able to be moved, or you'll be able to conversate with me. You're not reality. So therefore, I no longer believe that you are there. And that's what I do. I challenge my thinking. And once I challenge my thinking and realize that it's not there, then I go ahead and I keep moving on with my day. Okay, you're not in my window, so I'll go ahead and open my window. Okay, you're not in front of my refrigerator, so I'll go ahead and open my refrigerator. That's what we're doing now. We're putting ourselves as our frame of thinking, we're putting our thinking on trial. If you're saying who you are, prove it. I want you to prove to me that you're who you are. And borderline personality disorder, just that cluster. I'm only talking about the borderline personality disorder, that cluster. I'm not talking about the other ones, because talking about the other ones, I have to take my time and go piece by piece. I'm only talking about the borderline personality disorder that's inside the cluster B personality disorder disease. And when you're dealing with borderline personality, you have to understand it comes in the form of delusions as well, because delusions will make you think. For me, I would get on the elevator and my delusions will make me think that people on the elevator wants to harm me. So how do I do that? What I just previously suggested, I challenge my thinking. If these people want to harm me, I need to see those evidence of the harm. Are you going to say something that's threatening? Are you going to do something to me that's threatening? What are you going to do that's going to give me that evidence that I can now say, you are out to harm me? If you do something that does a threatening gesture, then of course, then my reaction would be hit the red button, use my cell phone to dial 911. Of course, I'll respond to the gesture. But because my thinking gives me borderline personality thinking, I have to see evidence of reality before I respond. Because if I respond if I trust my thinking, which is unstable, and I go ahead and respond before I get the evidence, then that's me. I might hurt someone or I might harm someone, and they may in fact be an innocent bystander. So it's very careful. That's why I want to take my time with these borderline personality disorders. I want to take my time with it because it's very important that you slow down. And sometimes we need to slow our heart rate down and scan the room and get all the evidence. We turn into mental detectives. Scan the room and get all the evidence before we make an arrest. So this is very important. So to the person that wants this question answered, I'm going to answer it piece by piece. Today is just borderline personality disorder. We are triple checking our thoughts and we are looking for tangible evidence before we respond. It's very important that we need that evidence in order for us to respond, because we don't want to respond to just a fictitious thought. So until next time, everyone be safe, stay inside, safe distancing, take care of each other. And I said something, this is a long time ago, but I used to say this in my younger days, and I'm going to start saying it now. Endurance is a skill. So endurance we have to work it like a muscle, because we know mental illness we have it and it's here to stay, but we don't have to let it lead us and dictate how we live our lives. So endurance is a skill. So we're going to work our muscles and we're going to be healthy, mentally strong, and mentally capable to bring our mind to a balance. So that's where we're headed, everyone. Please subscribe, keep your questions coming, stay safe, and until next time, stay healthy.